workshop. We usually have to get on a bus, but since circumstances, we're gonna do it a little bit different this time. So I thank you all for joining us. Today we're gonna have about an hour of some information to share with you guys and see where we go from there. So just to get started, to introduce, our first speaker is going to be Mr. James Speed. He has James Speed Credit Solutions. He is a credit counselor, one of my favorites to use, and I'll let him take over at this point.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, just wanted to talk to you about, Elise, thanks for inviting me and having me with you. But what I want to talk about a little bit about credit, which is a big topic for a lot of people. One of the things is that there's several different things. When someone contacts me, they'll either say, I want you to fix my credit, I want to work on my credit, or I want to clean up my credit. And that each one of those things are very different, and it makes a difference whether or not I really want to take that person as a client, because changing that mindset of someone who wants to work on their credit is very important, because there's a lot of people out here doing credit, but they're taking you through the results and not the process. And that's one of the things about my business is I want to take you through the results and not just the process. I want to take you through the process and not just the results, because just because you've got a 750 score doesn't mean that you have great credit. And just because you've got a 450 or 500 doesn't mean you have bad credit. Because one of the things is that when you're going through the process of trying to buy a home, you've got to kind of get ready to start that process. And the process can be very frustrating if you don't go through it the right way. And that's the good thing about having a realtor or a lender, because sometimes you can go to a lender first and you can get denied, and then you got to go to work on your credit. Or you can go to a realtor first, and the realtor will send you to the lender. So once you understand the process a little bit better, and a realtor can really help walk you through that process. Because whether it's the realtor, a lender, your friend, or whoever, you just go into it and you get confused, and it can be very frustrating, and you'll just stop because you don't know which way to go. So one of the things that I do is that when a lender or a realtor refer you to me, I look at you as a prosecutor first. And what that means is I look for every reason why I would deny you, and then I become a defense attorney. And what that is that I look at and by taking you through the process, see, there's 6 factors that go into your credit score. You've got utilization, payment history, age of credit, the derogatory remarks, the number of accounts, and the inquiries. Those 6 factors make up your score. And so by taking people through the process, it helps them understand about credit. Because when you look on Credit Karma, and Credit Karma gives you a score, you think you're ready to buy a house because of what Credit Karma says. Credit Karma is a Vantage score, and the banks don't go by the Vantage score. The banks go by a FICO score. And you have 5 different scores. You have a mortgage score, credit card score, auto score, insurance score, and an employment score. And based on what you are applying for, that's the score that they're going to use. So when you decide you're going to buy a house because Credit Karma says you have a 700, and then you apply for the mortgage, and your mortgage says that you're at a 550 or 560, and you're frustrated, that's what you have to do is understanding that credit and knowing what goes into your score. Now, there are times I've had lenders that might refer someone to me, and they've got a 750, and they don't get approved. Once I start prosecuting them and looking at what's in their credit, the only thing that's on that person's credit is a $300 secured credit card, but they've got a 750. Credit is about risk. It's not about the score all the time. Now, sometimes there are certain lenders that may only care about the score. If you got a 750, that's all they care about. But if they go into it and look and see whether or not you're a good borrower or not, you may not be a good borrower because you don't have the payment history and different things like that. So with understanding credit and knowing that just because even if you get your score to a 750 and you don't have a job, those are things that you need to know when you're talking to your realtor, your lender, and just preparing to buy a home. That it's not just about getting your credit high, getting a high score. And also when you have couples, when a couple come to me, I work on his credit, I work on her credit, and I work on their credit. Or I work on her credit, and their credit. meaning that if you're going to buy a home, you've got to talk to your partner about what your process is, and you both have to be on the same page. Because if one person is working on their credit and the other one's not working on their credit, when it comes time to go to the lender to apply for the mortgage, one is going to be ready and the other one's not going to be ready. So you have to communicate with each other, and you also have to communicate with your lender. You have to communicate with the realtor that you have. Now, if you do decide to use someone, now I don't tell everybody to come to me because I'm the best, because there are a lot of people that are good, that can do credit, and they're doing a good job. But if they're taking you through the results, you got to make sure that you be involved in the process with them, because if they're doing something illegal and you don't know what they're doing and you don't understand credit, you get your score where you want it to be, and then you come to find out later they did a lot of things that you didn't know about. It falls back on you. So it's not a process of just trying to get your score to be high and fixing your credit or cleaning up your credit. It's understanding your credit. But just make sure you reach out to a lender or realtor and just communicate with them so they can walk you through the process. That's what they get paid for. If you need to go to a lender first, that's good. That's one of the things I like about working with Elise. When she send me people, they go through the process, they understand about the process, because I've seen people that when I'm working on the credit, they don't know how to appreciate a 20 or 30 point increase in their score, because they want to go from a 400 to a 700 right away. And that's not going to happen. It's a process. And so when you get ready to go through that process, you look at a time frame of what you want to do and how you want to go about it. And if you're proactive with working on your credit, you can improve it. And then paying off debts that you don't have to pay off, you need to talk to the lender, and the lender will let you know whether or not something is important or it's not important. Because just going paying off all your debt, because one of the important things is a credit card on your report. If you don't have a credit card, the credit card factors in 35% of your score. So if you don't have a credit card, you're losing that 35%. So you can't even get 100. The best you can get is 65 until you get a credit card. So working on that credit will actually help. How are we doing on that, Elise? How's that time running?
Got about 1 more minute.
Yeah. So just to finalize it, is just reaching out to a lender, or whether you go to the lender first or whether you go to the realtor first. Eventually, you are going to need a realtor to work with the process. And there's so many different programs out there. So just reach out to them and just tell them what you are, and just be transparent with them. But don't come in with a 400 score thinking you're going to go to a 700 in 30 days without putting in the work. So feel free to reach out to me or any other people on the team, and we'll be able to send you in the right direction. Okay?
Thanks, James. Thank you so much, James. I appreciate that. So pretty much credit is a lifestyle, not just a moment, is a good way to sum it up also, right?
Right, exactly, because there's life after a house. And once you get that house, what if something breaks down and you need to get credit to get it fixed, but you don't have access to credit? And that's what credit's about, is having low risk and having access to it.
I appreciate that. And as James was saying, we're going to move right on ahead to our buyer's agent. We have Miss Helen EdwardsJackson from Level Up. And Helen, if you could go ahead and start. Hold on, let me
Okay, so welcome to our segment. We thank you guys so much for attending. My name is Helen EdwardsJackson. I'm just one of the real estate brokers who represent clients here at Charlotte Crown. Our organization does have a host of real estate brokers as well as mortgage professionals to help you get from start to finish. So my job today is just to tell you a little bit about the home ownership process. So what I'm going to explain to you is home and the acronym for home and what we believe it means, or me personally as a broker. So the first thing that we have to tell you is that when we work with you, our job is to protect you, to promote your best interest. we have a fiduciary duty to get you from start to finish. So that's regardless if you're purchasing a home as residential resale or if you're purchasing a home at new construction, you should never do that process alone. So again, our goal is to coordinate that transaction from start to finish. We do have to tell you, because we're here on a live segment, the state does require for us to tell you about the working with real estate pamphlets and what it means to actually work with a realtor. So you have a couple types of ways that we can represent you in a transaction. So you can choose to be a customer, which means that you feel like you know real estate law, which you may, or you can decide to hire one of us licensed professionals to help you get from start to finish. You can decide to be a customer or a client. When you become a client, you do have to sign a contract with us, but that contract is to protect your best interest. It tells you who is responsible for paying us once you close the deal. It tells you that we do not get paid until we close the deal with you. So you do have to go through a real estate closing, and we get paid at the end of the transaction. It also lets you know that as a client, again, we have a duty to protect you, to disclose to you anything that may help you to determine to go forward with a property or not. That's our job, is to be there for that. But our sole and primary duty is to you as a buyer's agent. As a seller's agent will be the same. So the job will be to protect the seller from start to finish during the contract, to coordinate the contract for them on their behalf. We do have a duty to be fair and honest to all parties of the real estate transaction, regardless if we're representing you in the transaction. And the final agency will be a dual agency, which means that we are listing a property and you come across as a buyer, and we're going to represent you and the seller, but we would have to have permission from both you and the seller to protect you or to assist you in that transaction. So again, that means that we're giving you acknowledgement of how we can represent you in that transaction, called working with real estate agents. So now let's talk about the HOME acronym. So the first thing, H, is how's your credit? We want to know how your credit is before we start to show you the property. And it's very important that we get a pre-approval or pre-qualification letter from your lender. So as James Speed said, if you hit any roadblocks at that time, we got another lender that you can see there, Kelly Panaro, who you can see there, and then James helps with credit. But they will be able to let you know if you need to have assistance, if it's something that the lender can do to assist you to bring you up to a good credit score. Right now, due to COVID-19, things have changed. So don't throw in the towel. You may see that you have, stricter requirements for you to become approved for a loan. You may also see that credit scores are at higher levels. But again, we're here to help you from start to finish. If you're going to be ready today, tomorrow, 2 years from now, 1 year from now, I have clients that, and I'm sure we all have clients that we've helped get through the process. And we're not here to just, string you along or to start the process and leave. We actually want to help you close the deal. Oh, ownership. We're here to talk to you about home ownership. Increasing Black home ownership is our main priority. We want to see minorities increase home ownership and increase generational wealth, because that is something that's going to be beneficial for you, your children, and your family beyond once we have left this world. M, meet your realtor. So again, there are lots of realtors that you can see on our platform. Meet your realtor, learn about your realtor, learn their personality, learn, tell them what matters to you. Because our goal is to be your principal, meaning you're hiring us to do a job and we need to see it through, okay? So meet your realtor, set expectations, and let the realtor tell you, how they can assist you from start to finish. And last, explore neighborhoods. My biggest thing, I always tell clients to explore your neighborhoods. Why? Because you need to know where you want to live. Elise might want to live somewhere. Deanna may want to live somewhere else. Nicola might like another area, and Rochelle may like another place. We don't all like the same thing, and one hat does not fit all. So go out, explore neighborhoods before you talk to your agent. So you're not looking in Huntersville, you're down in Bowling Springs, South Carolina, and tomorrow you think you want to be in Lancaster. So let us know exactly where you want to be so that we can hone in on our search and get you home. Thank you.
Thanks, Helen.
Yes.
Thanks so much. And just so everyone know, if you have any questions as my speakers are going on, feel free to go in the chat and ask your questions. We're going to be addressing all of them at the end. So if you hear something come up and you want to ask a question, if you don't mind putting it in the chat, we'll address it at the end of the but next coming up is Kelly Panaro. This is our lender with Acapulco Home Loans. Did I say it right?
Acopia Home Loan.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everybody. And we're glad you're here today to learn. I know these are strange times, but we still want you to stay engaged and actively shopping for homes and learning about lending and your credit. So I want to kind of piggyback on what Helen and James both said. Most realtors that I work with and in this organization will not show you a house without a pre-approval letter. So coming to a lender of your choice is the first step. And if you're not ready, we're going to tell you how to get ready. But I wanted to kind of go into what we're looking for. So when you come to me, for instance, I'm going to take an application from you. What does that involve? It's going to have your personal information. It's also going to have your employment history. We are looking for at least 2 years of employment history. And in addition to that, your asset information. So are you going to be bringing your own money to closing? Do you have money saved up to put down on a house, or will you need down payment assistance? So those are all things that we'll talk about up front. So, and then from there, after we take the application from you, we do pull your credit. We load the application into our systems, and we look at also your debt to income ratio. And that's how we can determine how much house you can qualify for. And a lot of times you may qualify for a lot more house than what you're really truly willing to spend, which is not a bad thing. But you know, I get a lot of people like, well, I don't want my payment to be more than this. So we can tell you, okay, then you need to stay in this price range. In addition to that, there are a lot, I know Helen touched on this a little bit. Lending is a little different right now in COVID. Some programs have tighter credit requirements, smaller debt to income ratios. But I will tell you this, the state programs through North Carolina Housing have all stayed the same. And there's still a 640 score. There's still plenty of money available out there. But your first step, like I said, is going to talk to a lender and figure out exactly what you qualify for and exactly, you know, all the programs that are available to you based on that. And then I do want to touch a little bit on employment, because I get this question a lot, especially right now. If you're furloughed or you are laid off, right now is a great time to work on your credit and things like that. But unfortunately, we can't do a whole lot with that. But that doesn't mean once you start back to work, all you have to do is be there 30 days as long as you're in the same line of work and you're a W-2 employee. Now, if you're a 1099 or self-employed borrower, then we are looking for 2 years of tax returns filed, just so we can see what your average is. And then from there, again, we'll be able to, what we do is we look at your income and tell you what you would be able to qualify for. So we're excited to still work with you and let you know exactly what you may need to work on or exactly what you are qualified for. So please reach out to any of us on the panel and we'd be happy to assist you. Thank you. Please.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for that information. I really appreciate you helping us out here today. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit it in the chat group. We will make it available, all of our speakers today and their contact information. And next we have coming up is Deanna Smith as we move through the home buying process. And Deanna will share with us the importance of the title. So Deanna, if you can go ahead and get started.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session on home buying one-on-one. My name is Deanna Smith. I am the owner of Exclusive Title Agency. And so I want to talk a little bit about title because a lot of people don't know what is a title search, what is title insurance, why I need it. So a title search is a thorough search of everything concerning the chain of title. Chain of title is everyone that, every person that owns that piece of parcel of real estate. A title search will require the examination of record, property information, and other documents, judgments, tax liens, mortgages, easements, restrictions, affidavits on a property. Then it will be compared to what is being sold to make sure that the buyer is receiving a clear title. When you buy a property, you want a clear title. You don't want nothing else coming up, you know, during that process of buying a home. And making sure the seller has the legal ownership of that property when you buy it. So, you know, it's checking to make sure that the person is saying that they're selling a home, that they're actually the person that's supposed to be selling the home. Common issues can include incorrect legal description, missing and incorrect names on the deed or other record documents, and unsatisfied liens or mortgages. I'm going to also be going over and showing you some what the documents look like, you know, a title search and things like that. And so let me touch on title insurance because that's what I do. Title searches would go through your attorney. For instance, Michael Hoard, who is in the Charlotte Crown, he will conduct the title searches. After he approves or give his opinion on a title search, then he gives it to a company as such as me to do the process, the title insurance. The title insurance is the best place to start. It writes the ownership in land. So title insurance is an insurance policy that insures and protects that interest. There are two types of policy owners. There's the lender policy, then there's the ownership policy. The lender's policy protects the lender. So anytime you get a loan, that lender is going to put a policy on their home, and the policy lasts for as long as there is a loan on that property. Once the loan has been satisfied, the lender is dissolved, and then you want to have, so the other policy would be, and I'm sorry you guys, so the other policy would be the ownership policy. 98% people get a ownership policy on their home. And you want to do that is because it protects you. And then it's the new buyer, their interest is the sale price of the home. So the owner policy protects the sale price of the home. Both are a one-time premium, so you pay it one time when you purchase the home, and then that's it. It's not like life insurance or any other kind of insurance. You got to pay it annually. Once you pay it, that's it. The lender policy is in effect. I think I already kind of touched on that a little bit. And let me see, what else can I say? The owner policy is forever as long as the owner has an interest, which is the general warranty deed. A seller gives general warranty, and then they always be in the chain. So when I say chain, means that you will always see the previous owners in the chain of the title. So I'm going to show you a little bit. I'm going to share my screen. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. Okay. I'm going to hit share. So this right here, can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So this right here is an example of a settlement. And so, you know, the person decides, yeah, you know, we want to get the policy. So it's wrote up like this. It's the commitment title insurance. I'm going to go through this kind of fast because I think I did take out the owner of this policy. I think I scribbled out their name. This is what it, and this is the insurance company that I have been appointed with, which is AmTrust. So you get this, and this is like where Michael Hoard will give his opinion. I'm going to show what that would look like. Wait a minute, I think this is the, hold on guys. So, you know, this is like the invoice.
Deanna, can
Yes,
you
sir.
not show that? You got
Okay.
actual property, you got an actual property and actual description on that. You probably shouldn't share that.
And that's why I said I didn't know if I had. Let me go to this one. Okay, I think I did scribble out this, Michael. Thank you. So this is the letter, closing protection letter, as we abbreviated CPL letter. And I think I did scribble out all the important stuff out of this. So this is what Michael would give the insurance company, and then they, you know, would say congratulations or whatever, that you now have, that the attorney has approved has gave his opinion of the title search, and that it is a clear title, or different things will come up. It's like I said, with the lien, the judgments and things as such that will have to be cleared before he can, before the insurance company will put the policy on there. So let me come back to, and I just want to touch on one more thing. And my one more thing is, you know, like I said, it's very important to have an insurance policy on your home. And, you know, it's just like life insurance, car insurance, and we don't think about things like that. Health insurance, you know, is to protect us. And it can go all the way back to the previous date of an incident. So that's summing up a little bit of what a title insurance is. If you have any questions, please, you know, ask.
There is one question out there for you. How is the from Guida Harris? How is the ownership insurance cost determined?
So it depends on the cost of the property. Did I answer that for you?
What's the average? Like if it's a $200,000 home, how much would that average to be as far as the title insurance, if you have an estimate?
Yeah, if you put title insurance on there, it can average like around $300 and something annually.
Okay, so do you pay that one time?
Yep, one time,
Okay.
and that's it.
Okay.
I guess the follow-up, is it determined as a percentage of cost or a flat rate?
Yeah, flat rate fee.
Okay. And thank you, Deanna, so much for that information. We're going to move right ahead to Mr. Hoard, our attorney, closing attorney. Mr. Hoard, if you don't mind unmuting yourself. Where are you?
Good afternoon, everybody. Michael Hoard. I'm the president of Charlotte Crown. I want to speak briefly about Charlotte Crown. Probably should have done this before for folks who are joining us, but Charlotte Crown is the oldest minority trade organization in the U.S. It was founded in 1944 because 47, sorry, it's a long Saturday. And it was founded because we as Blacks were not allowed to be a part of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. And so we took it upon ourselves to create our own organization to give ourselves a chance to be a part of the industry. It started then, and of course, we've been instrumental in the passage of the Fair Housing Act and other ways and legislations to help us as a people move forward. Locally, we focus on trying to get Black people into homes because it's the first step to wealth, and we understand that. So we want people to understand that, our people to understand that as well, and go out and buy homes, not be discouraged from buying homes. So I want to thank the people who have attended today to learn a bit more about the home buying process, and feel free to ask questions as we go along. I am an attorney, and my role in the transaction, much of what Deanna just said in terms of title insurance, she provides it. And I want to give her a shout out because she's the only minority-owned title insurance company, I think, in the state. And probably the first too, so that's huge. And people need to understand that for her to go out there and try to do it that way, that's great. That's wonderful. So back to what I do. You guys don't have to really worry too much about her end of it. And I know it's a lot that's getting thrown at you, but I kind of take care of the title insurance piece and make sure you're protected. And I order through Deanna the title insurance. So what I do as a closing attorney is I communicate with your lender. That's one piece of it, just to figure out what the fees and costs are going to be. Lender wants to see the title is clear, and they want to make sure that I can confirm the title will be clear and won't have any liens, because what happens is once you purchase that property, any liens that are left on there that are not taken care of when we close pass on to you. So as an attorney, I have to make sure that doesn't happen. So if it's a mortgage, it has to be paid at closing. If there's a judgment that's still valid, it has to be paid at closing. HOA dues are due, those must be taken care of at closing as well. So I kind of stand in the middle right there to make sure nothing passes through to the buyer. In terms of the package that the lender gives me to execute with you. I explain your mortgage documents to you, and packages can be 130 pages or they can be 80 pages. It depends on the lender. And we sit and we go through it normally. And the new, this new time with COVID, things have changed. So things are done virtually now. Just people need to stay away from each other. And because of that, we still go through the documents. You'll still have them. We go through them. I talk to you about what you expected to do. I normally don't get questions when I do a closing because I'm pretty thorough with it. But that's your time to really ask questions and figure out what you need to know. Keep in mind, this is a close-knit group here, and we all have the same passion about getting people into homes, but I am an attorney, so my interest is the lowest on the totem pole, I like to say. My fee is the lowest out of anybody's fees, so my interest is to make sure that you are protected. And it's a challenge sometimes, but I try to make sure that my client is protected. I'm done. We can use the balance of time for questions.
Thank you so much, Michael. Does anyone have any questions at this time? And just to kind of sum up what went on today is the actual process that you would go through. Only thing that I would see would be a little bit different is if you went to the lender first and the lender told you needed some information on credit, then that would switch from the credit guy being first to the lender, and the lender might send you over to James. Or you could go to Helen first, and Helen talks to you, and she can kind of get some information from you to know if you should go to the lender or if you should go seek credit counseling. So everything outside of that is the steps of home ownership. And I do see we have a question coming in. What is the difference between a realtor and a buyer agent? Helen, would you like to answer that?
So the realtor and the buyer's agent is essentially the same person, but there is a difference between a realtor and a broker. So a realtor is someone who has taken classes and they understand ethically how to represent the public in relations to color, religion, sex, national origin, familiar status, handicap, and gender identities. But the buyer's agent would be that realtor if that broker has taken the additional course to become a realtor. And just let me know if that answers your question. We are also realtors. They want me to let you know that we are also realtors. So as Attorney Hoard was talking to you about NAREB and Charlotte Crown, our local chapter, we as realtors, we are here as individuals to continue to promote the democracy in housing, fair housing for minorities.
Let's not leave out that we're held to a higher standard, just as we're representing NAREB and we are realtors. So it's an honor to be one and to have one that's representing you. And then the next question I see is if a buyer is trying to remain debt-free, excuse me, is it necessary to get new credit to establish history, or do lenders still do manual underwriting? So Kelly, would you like to take that one on?
Hey, yes. There is still some manual underwriting going on, yes. What was the first part of that question, please?
If a buyer is trying to remain debt-free, is it necessary to get new credit to establish history, or do lenders still do manual underwriting? So
you definitely have to have credit depth. So in the last 24 months, we would like to see some credit activity. That doesn't mean you have to go out and buy a brand new car, but you could use a credit card, even if it's just a $300 limit, maybe put $50 a month on it and never pay it all the way off. Just keep a small rolling balance. That actually is really going to shoot your score up as well. But we need to see that you can pay some sort of bill for at least 12 months. We would prefer 24, but we will take 12 months of credit history.
Okay, and James, did you want to add on anything to that? Hold up, let's unmute James. You need to unmute yourself. Okay.
Okay. One thing about that is people think having debt and having access to credit is two different things. You can have credit and you can have access to credit. And like she said, you can avoid the debt. Say for instance, you got a light bill that's $125 a month. A lot of people pay that light bill with their debit card. What you could actually do is pay that light bill with your credit card, and then turn around and pay your credit card bill from your checking account. And that shows some activity and something that you're already paying anyway. Because if you're paying that light bill with your debit card, you're getting a credit history with the utility company, but it's not going to show on your credit report. So start getting in the habit of you paying some of your bills with your credit card, but just don't carry that debt to the next month. Just pay it off a week or two later, and that way it can help your credit, and it can show that credit activity, and you're not incurring new debt. It's something you got to pay anyway.
Thank you. And then one other question that was asked that kind of went with that is, can you use your utilities to show that you have credit? Kelly, you might want to, okay.
Yes, so if you have a thin credit profile, a lot of times an underwriter will ask for what we call alternative trade lines. We can use a cell phone bill, a utility bill, and even your car insurance bill to establish payment history. Again, they want to see 12 months of no late pays and that you can actually handle a monthly payment. That's what the underwriter is looking for.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Is there
welcome.
any other questions? Hold up, I see you. How long does it normally take to purchase a home? Helen, would you like to address that one?
It just really depends on how long it takes for you to get pre-approved to purchase a home, because what we're looking for is to get that navigation from our lender to provide us with how much you can afford. And then really it depends on, what do you like? Is what you're looking for currently on the market? Is that available? I have some people that have had, approval letters now for 3 to 6 months, and they just still have not been able to find what they want because inventory is currently still low in our markets. So it really is going to depend on inventory, what you want, and it's going to depend on you. It's going to depend on how long do you want it to take, especially if you have some blemishes that you need to take care of. We need to see that you're dedicated and you're willing to do what it takes so that we can get you to the finish line. But I think once you pass the baton to us, we're hitting the pavement.
Right.
Okay.
Our goal is 30 to 45 days.
For real. Exactly.
Yeah. And then we have another question. How has COVID impacted the market? Is now a good time to buy, and why? Would you like that one, or you want me to kind of answer that one?
I'm going to just answer about showings, and then you go ahead and you can divvy into that so that everybody can have the opportunity to speak, because you're all real estate professionals. So, let's talk about like going in to see homes. So we have to be very mindful to what the current market says and what the current regulations are as far as going to show a home. So we're currently in Mecklenburg County. We're still under a stay-at-home order, and we are not allowed to go in any homes if the home is currently not vacant. And vacant means that you only see the walls and the floors when you walk in the home. There's no furniture. There is absolutely no people living in the home. Now, for those of us that are licensed in multi-states, like York County, we can go there and we can show homes in those homes. But here again, guys, you have to be mindful of what this germ or this disease is that we're dealing with. Some people can have it and it be a silent killer. So you have to make that decision on whether or not you want to proceed with that home. As agents, we do have to respond when we schedule the showings that you are not infected with the virus. But our job is also to protect you against the seller who may be infected with the virus or has come into contact with someone. So it just really depends on how much of a risk you want to take right now doing COVID-19. And certainly we want to all remain safe and, keep our social distancing. And Elise, go ahead and take over.
As far as is it a good time to buy and why, I don't see that the market is changing to the point that house prices are diminishing, at least not in Mecklenburg County. Our pricing is still staying the same. The sellers are still getting their asking price if it's priced right, and the comps and it appraises. As far as, to me, is it a good time for a buyer? I think it absolutely is. Yes, there is some roadblocks, not roadblocks, but there's some challenges as far as the house being vacant, as Helen stated. But at this time, it's not so much of a competition where you have to make that decision right now here on the spot, because it has slowed down to people going out looking for houses, and they're taking kind of a break because of the circumstances. So if you're truly ready and dedicated and committed to purchasing a home, now is a good time, because there is houses still on the market, and you will have a chance of getting it without the fight that we were doing last year this time. So in my opinion, yes, it's a very good time to purchase. And then, you have anything else you want to add on there, Helen? You look like
I was gonna say, and if they're not ready to purchase, it's a great time too to get yourself in order. Kelly May can speak on what the current credit score requirements are, because that has knocked a couple of our buyers out of being able to qualify for a home, whereas before COVID, you might have had a full approval and even went through conditions and underwriting, but now that you can't do that. If you had down payment assistance, some of the down payment assistance have kind of tightened up and you're not able to get that. So now's a good time to save and get yourself ready. I mean, it's in my opinion that once all this is over, it may indeed turn into a buyer's market. So where you do have, you know, as keep saying Rochelle, because I'm looking at her beautiful face, you know, but as Elise said, you know, be in a position where you know, don't have so much competition, because right now in the seller's market is very competitive, but it's switching. I mean, we're still writing deals, we're closing deals. We closed another VA loan yesterday, so it's happening.
Yeah.
Kelly, tell them about those credit scores though. What are the current requirements?
Okay, so good news, if you're a conventional client, Fannie and Freddie is still 620 across the board with every lender in our network here at Charlotte Crown. So that part is great. Now, the government loans, those are the ones where there's not a big of an appetite in the market. The investors aren't buying them as they were after the stock market kind of did what it did when all of this started. And so what lenders had to do was make it more attractive for purchase, these loans more attractive for purchase. And in doing that, what they did was they maybe lowered the debt to income ratio and they raised the credit score requirement. So I'm talking about FHA, VA, USDA. There are still some lenders out there that will do 640. I think we have one still in Charlotte Crown. I am at a 660 score on those loans right now. But again, if we can go conventional, that's really the way to go. And the state, like I mentioned, the state housing programs such as House Charlotte and NCHFA are still at a 640 score. So we still have some options there.
Okay, and then just while I have you on there, I have a question. How long does the pre-approval letter last?
Okay, that's a great question. So the pre-approvals last for 90 days. And at the end of 90 days, if you still haven't found your house, that's okay. All we do is simply recheck your credit. We already have all of your information. So it's just another credit pull to make sure that nothing's changed. You know, you didn't go buy a Bentley or do something crazy. You know, everything's different. So, but yeah, it is a 90-day, it's a 90-day letter.
Hey, Elise, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
It's directed to the lender. When you've got a couple working on trying to buy a house and one is stronger than the other one, what is that minimum score that the weakest one have to be? Because say, for instance, if you got one that's, say, got a 700, and then the other person may have a 610, would they have to just come up to 620 to be able to get the same rate that for the 700 score, or is it that person at the 610 has to be higher as well?
So both borrowers have to qualify credit-wise. Right. Okay, so we used to, you know, back before the meltdown, we used to be able to do, and this I'm talking 2008, used to be able to combine, you know, someone's income with somebody's credit, and it may be two different people. We cannot do that anymore. So both borrowers would have to qualify. In that situation, unless we needed the other person's income really bad, I would probably leave that borrower off, because there's a big difference in interest rate between a 700 score and a 620 score. While we do go down to a 620, and all lenders do, when you have a lower credit score, you're going to pay for it through your interest rate. So the higher your score, the better interest rate and also mortgage insurance rate you'll receive.
Yeah, because that's the problem, to have the person who's got the 610 is making all that money, and the person who's got the 700 don't have the income to be able to buy on their own.
I've seen that quite a bit. And in that scenario, we would credit counsel and say, if you do this, usually we can get somebody there, you know, within 90 days from a 610 to like a 680, which is where 680 is kind of where everything opens up as far as better interest rates, better mortgage insurance, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I always suggest, I know with new customers coming on, to find out where you are so we know where you need to be. So if your goal for 2020, your lease ends in August, start working on it now when it's a chance that you can at least know where you are, so we know where we have to be at or what you have to do to get where you need to be, so August we can purchase a home. So I always try to encourage people to pay attention and get help when you need it. And then the next question, just to bring up the next question, thanks, Kelly. What would you say to a young person just entering the workforce and wants to set him or herself up to buy a home ASAP?
Was that directed for me?
Anyone can pick that one up.
Okay. I'll let somebody answer.
Okay.
With a millennial the other day about actually getting a patent, and I asked him, because I don't come in contact with too many young folks except mine, which are 10 and under. What's I think the issue with young people who may want to buy is that a lot of them switch jobs more frequently than what I'm used to. And I know that I was always taught that you stay at a job for a while before you move to another one, because the other employer may not hire you because you've been jumping around so much. But that's changed.
I don't care.
Youngsters jump around quite a bit. And because of that, this young millennial, well, he's on a cusp, I guess, a millennial and Generation Z. I'm not sure what the other one is, but he was saying that because of that, they're not interested really in purchasing homes. And I guess the case needs to be made to a young person, the value in still owning either within that short period of time. And I gave him examples of how investments are always an option, and you look at it as an investment going in. So if you're going to purchase, if you know you're going to switch a job in 2 years and move to another state, if you've purchased in that state and it's appreciated, once you leave, if you want to sell it, then that's income that you've made from that you can do something with. Or it's a cushion for you to move into a new environment when you move to a new job. And there's a list of things we always tell people about equity and how equity can change your life, and you can dump it into things to help you later, and especially a business you want to go into. But it's about the investment piece that we have to sell, I think, to the younger generation, and the why. It's the money that's going to be generated. And say if you don't want to deal with the hassle of getting income from it, then I was telling them, then you rent it out, and then you may make a lot off of it if you keep it for a period of time. So that's the case that needs to be made to millennials. Is not that you can't make the case anymore to them that, oh, you're going to own a home, you're going to grow your family there. That's out the door with them. It's more about the investment piece.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you for answering that, Mike. And we have one of our realtors on the phone, Joy. She's with the home warranty. And we do happen to have a question for you, Joy, if you're still there. Can you hear me?
I can. I'm here.
Hey, Joy. Okay, so we have a question here. Home warranty, about the home warranty. Why would you want to buy a home warranty?
A home warranty is really important to protect your major systems and appliances within the first year. We recommend, the home warranty, especially for first-time home buyers, just to offset cost of major repairs or even replacements. And with our warranty company, if we cannot repair something, we will replace it. So it could be, a huge value, not just a repair, but, you may have an HVAC system replaced or a water heater or something like that, and potentially save thousands of dollars.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I have another question directed for Kelly. If you have a VA loan, can you buy a home with another VA loan?
Well, that depends. VA does not do second homes. They only do primary residence. So if you want to make the home that you're currently in an investment home where you maybe rent it out, then yes, you could purchase another house, but you just can't purchase a second home with a VA loan, because again, they only do primary residence.
Thank you so much. And then one other one that would be for you too, Kelly, is can you share the debt ratio for the different types of loans?
Yes, and I'll tell you how we figure out debt to income as well. So you're going to take all of your debts, and these are things on your credit report, like your car payment, your credit card payments, things like that. We're not worried about your utilities. We don't count those. And then you're going to divide that by your income, and that's how we get your debt to income ratio. So, but for the different loans, so so Fannie and Freddie, your conventional products, they are usually between 45 and 50%. It really depends on your credit depth. They really like it more at 45 right now during COVID because they're getting really picky. And then VA actually does not have a cap on debt to income, but the VA works a little bit differently in that they count what it's called residual income. So they're more worried about the income that you have left over at the end of the month. They want to make sure that because you're a veteran that you have enough money to eat and pay your utilities and all of that good stuff. So my company caps the debt to income on VA at 65%, just because that's anything over that, you're not going to meet the residual anyway. FHA is 56% debt to income, and USDA is 43%. So USDA is much, much lower than the other loans. But USDA is designed for rural areas and for low income borrowers only.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And I have a question for James. What can you do if a creditor is not reporting your payment history? They say, I have a care lender that has not reported since November of 19, and I've printed out all my payments.
Okay. One of the problems you do is I also make sure make sure all your credit reports are consistent, and make sure your last name is showing the way it's supposed to be. Because what happens sometimes, you can have actually a split credit report. And that happens with people that are married, or they change their last name, or they move a lot. And there's inconsistency across all the credit reports. So when they pull it, it may be showing on your maiden name, and another one may be showing on your married name. So what you need to do is contact your creditor and make sure that all your information in your profile is up to date. Even like if you move, you need to make sure all your addresses are current, your phone numbers are current, your last name is current, because that's what gets reported on the credit report, is what the actual lender has on their file. So if it's not current, or if you don't buy anything for a while, it's reporting that old information because it's in the system. So that's one thing you have to do. Just check your profiles first. And actually contact your lender to ask them to do an off-cycle update to report it, and let them know it's not reporting.
Is that something you should dispute, James?
It's not a dispute because because if it's not on the report, they don't know who to dispute it with. Okay. So you have to contact the actual lender and tell them that it's not, and don't talk to customer service because they don't know about what's reporting on the credit report. They're just going to give you a generic answer. Speak to the department that actually reports to the credit bureau and tell them what the issue is.
Thank you so much. And because of time, we got one more question. And the last question is more for Joy. How much does a home warranty cost? And do you have to pay a fee to have someone come out to look at the appliances if broken?
That's a great question. A warranty would be anywhere between $400 and $600 to $650, just depending on what options you add, and that would be the yearly cost. Typically, the seller is willing to pay that at closing, or sometimes the buyer and the seller will split that cost. And then the service call fee that is charged for our company at $75, and that is for a technician to come out and take a look and do a repair. The $75 would typically cover most repairs. If we get into replacing something like the HVAC or water heater, there would be additional cost just because we would maybe need to bring things up to code or modify things like the ductwork to fit the new unit. So you would be looking at additional cost over the $75, but the $75 would definitely cover most repairs to appliances and systems.
And thank you so much. I'm gonna let Antonio take over right now. Is that you, Antonio? Can't hear you. Unmute yourself. Thank you.
Real quick, if you are logged in on the screen, there is a quick poll out. If you could take a second to fill out the poll that is on the screen. answer. There's only 3 questions. It should only take a couple minutes or a couple of seconds, just so we can get a idea of who we have and how we can help you.
And then if you guys would like to talk to any of our realtors, if you could send an email to info@charlottecrown.com. You can specify who you would like to speak to or what situation you're in, if you want to purchase, or if you're looking at credit assistance, if you're looking for a lender, please specify that in your email, and we'll have someone contact you as soon as possible. And if that is all for today, I'd like to thank everyone for attending. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I would like to thank everyone for attending, and you guys have a magnificent day, all right?
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.